Hey everybody, welcome back to a video. In this one, we're gonna be learning about synchronizing threads. So before going into the video, I would appreciate you guys liking and subscribing the video and feel free to comment. So let's go into the topic. So synchronizing threads are very important in Python because sometimes whenever we use the threads overlap. So I'm gonna be showing you guys an example of what I mean by overlap. So first I'm gonna have my threading module, which is threading, and then also have my time module and then create a number. So I'm just gonna have a predefined number right here, which is 10, and then I'm gonna have an add function which is gonna take the number. So first this number is in the global, which is outside the function, so I have to get the number inside it. So that's why I'm gonna use the number global. So global number, I'm just accessing the global variable, which is number right here, and then I can do with this. So first, I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna use a while loop so that I can show you guys what is happening, and then also have something like number, and then until it's, let's say, 15. So until the number is 15, it's gonna be adding. So number plus equals 1, and then I'm gonna print the number. So there we go, we printed the number, and then is added, and we just added the number. And now let me just subtract this number, so sub, and then let me just have this global too. Or instead, I'm just gonna copy this part, so let me just copy this and then put it right here. So we have our things right here, and now I'm gonna use the sub method inside there and then have something like this. I'm gonna minus this number, and also I'm gonna use this subtracted. So basically I'm just having two functions, which is gonna add and subtract. And now I want to show you guys the difference, so I'm gonna use time.sleep before printing the output. I'm probably gonna use 2 seconds, and then I'm gonna do the same thing over here, and then there we go, we have our 2 seconds delay. Now I'm gonna create some threads so that I can start this thing. So thread equals threading.thread, and then I'm gonna use something like target. So which is the target, I'm just gonna keep add right there, and then I'm gonna copy this and then paste it right here, and this time I'm gonna change this to sub. So I have my two threads right here. Now of course, to make it run, I have to start these threads so that they can work. So let me just start these threads real quick, and then we started the thread, and now we have our code right here. So let me just give an overview of what I'm doing here. So basically I'm importing two modules, which is threading in time, which we know, and then have a variable because I just want it to be predefined, so I just keep it in the global. And then I have something like the functions, which is basically gonna add. If you see this thing, as you see, until the number is 15, it's gonna add, and I have to change those of course too. So I'm probably gonna change this to, let me just take till 10, because the number is already added and everything. So I'm just gonna probably make it less than, and then keep it, let's just take 5. So until the number is less than 5, it's gonna be subtracting. And now we understand what are we doing here. And here I just create the threads and running it. So if I were to run this, it's gonna cause a whole bunch of mess. So instead I just use the time.sleep to show you guys what is happening here. And as you see, we're just staying in the number 10 or 9 or something. As you see, 10 is subtracted, 10 is added, 10 is added, and then 10 is subtracted, 10 is subtracted. You know why is this happening? Because the threads are overlapping. Because see, the one thread is adding the number and one thread is subtracting the number. So the number is almost gonna stay at two numbers, which is 9 and 10, because these both are the numbers. Sometimes it kind of like depends on who comes first. So the number which comes first and already has the output, it's gonna go first. So as you see, we are just saying in 10 or 9. So as you see, 10 or 9, 10 or 9, and everything. See, so our code is never gonna finish, right? Because I have 5 here and I have 15, and we are just saying in 10 or 9. So how is it gonna work? So that's why we use synchronizing threads. So synchronizing threads are used so that the threads can work together and not overlap. So to perform synchronization, you use something called lock. So this lock is gonna lock the threads so that each can work like in a line or something, so they can work together, and also they should not overlap. In our case, it's overlapping right here, so we don't want that. And now let's see how do you perform synchronization. So first, you should have a lock variable. You can have any, you can have a or x or anything, but make it similar to the name what you do so that you can understand what you're doing. And then have something like threading.lock, which is already predefined by the threading module, so you don't have to do anything for that. And then get your variable to a function, so which I use there, global lock, where I use the global number, but this time you can use global lock, and if you have the argument you can just have global number too. And then that's how you can do it. And now this is the main part of the code. You have to use lock.acquire to lock the threads so that they don't overlap and they can work together. And then after you're done with your code, you can just release the lock, which means they're gonna wait for some time, and then it's gonna do the particular thing, and then it's gonna release the lock. So that's what it's basically gonna do. And now let's see an example of what do you do here. So this is the example I'm still gonna use, and in this one I'm gonna basically get the lock one. So first I have to get the threading.lock. So let me just create threading.lock right here, and then there we go, we have it right there, and also have a pair of parentheses. And then I have to make something like global, so I have to have the lock. So this is how you can make the variables global if you have more than one or something. So that's how you can do it. And then have here lock.acquire, because you have to acquire the lock first and then release the lock if you're done with the code. So let me just release the lock at the end because that's my code end, and then have something the same thing right here. So I'm gonna use lock.acquire, and also I have to make the global, so lock.release, and then also make it global right here. So I'm gonna make it lock. As you see, I made my things right here, so it's basically gonna acquire and also release. And now if I were to run this, it's gonna give a specific output. So 11 is added, 12 is added, and we have to wait, 13 is added, and 14 is added, and we just have to wait some more seconds, and 15 is added. Now 14 is subtracted. It's gonna go until this 5. So as you see, we're getting in an order because we just started the thread one, which is add, and then it's gonna do the add one first, and then if you have this at the top, it's gonna do the subtraction first. So that's how this thing works, and threading the lock is very easy, and this is gonna continue until 5 is there. So until the output is 5, it's gonna do that, and I'm not gonna show you guys. It's gonna do all the time, and it's gonna take so long, so I don't want to show you guys and waste the time here. And as you see, we have our output clear, so that's why you use synchronizing threads. And sometimes if these happen, it's gonna cause exploits and everything, so to be safe we have to use synchronization, and that's why synchronization is used. And now let's see another way you can use synchronization. So another way to perform synchronization is using the semaphore, but in this case you'll perform the number of accesses. So you'll just perform the number of accesses, but in this example I'm probably going to show you guys a different example. So to perform semaphore, it's kind of like the same one, but you have to just change the variable. So basically, to perform semaphore, it's kind of like the similar to the lock method, but instead you're just gonna change here something. So here we have threading.lock, and but this time we're gonna have threading.bounded semaphore, and then you have to have a value variable which is already there, and then pass a number because that's many accesses you want. So pass a number, and then you're done. And then it's kind of like the same one. You have to make it global, you have to acquire it, and then you have to release it. So let me just delete all this code right there. So now let's see an example using the semaphore. So first I'm gonna have the threading module, and then have the time module too. And now I'm gonna have a semaphore variable. So let me just have a semaphore variable. You can just name it anything you want, and then have a threading dot bounded semaphore, and then that's how this Python accepted, and that's how it's created. So I'm gonna basically allow 3 accesses, and you also have to define these accesses or it's not gonna work. So now I'm gonna have an add function, and this is not the similar code to before. And now I'm gonna have a global, which means I'm just making the global semaphore and then getting it right now. And now I can just have my while loop, which is basically gonna check the values and everything. So I'm just gonna take a number which I'm gonna be defining soon, and then while number is less than 20, it's basically gonna add. So first I'm gonna add this number, and I just wanna store in a different variable because I don't wanna affect my output. So now I'm gonna print the number, which is num, and then also say is processing, because I'm not saying the number right now because to show you guys the difference, and I'm just gonna say is processing, and then I'm gonna have something like time.sleep. Let me just wait for probably like 2 or 3 seconds. So I'm just gonna take 3.5, and then I'm gonna have something like semaphore.release, and yeah, I have to like acquire it too, so I should have done it before. So let me just do it here, semaphore.acquire, and I just acquired it and released it. So till here is pretty clear, except I just used time.sleep there, and I'm just writing different statements. So I'm gonna show you guys why I'm writing it. And now I'm gonna print something like num, and then have is added, and then that's what it's basically gonna do. We have our code right here, and now I'm gonna take a for loop so that I can like give it values. So let me just take a for loop and just have something like num in range, and then have the numbers. So 1, 2, let's take 6, and then I'm gonna have the numbers. So first I have to create the threading module. I already have it right there, so we just have it right there, and now we can work with it. So I have my arguments and everything, so there we go, we have our argument. So first I'm gonna have my thread module, threading.thread, and threading.thread, and then have my thread. So basically this is gonna send the arguments to it. So I'm gonna have target equals, and then have the add function, and then also have my args, so which are arguments, and then I'll also pass my num, which is my argument, and that's what we are working with. So that's what you do. And if you saw why I mentioned a comma, because there are multiple arguments, so we have to have pass a comma. And then I'm probably gonna sleep for 2 seconds before passing another one. So I'm basically gonna do 2 seconds, and if I were to run this, it's gonna give us the output. So 2 is processing, 2 is added, 3 is processing, 3 is added, 4 is processing, 4 is added, 5 is processing, 5 is added. But this is not probably giving a this is not giving us the proper output, so I'm just gonna change this to 10 seconds. So this is what it's gonna do. So you guys are gonna see the difference. Now if I were to run this, it's gonna take so long. So let me just 2 is processing, 3 is processing, and 4 is processing, and it should come probably 5 is processing too. So let's just wait for some time, and 2 is added, 5 is processing, and 3 is added, 6 is processing, and everything. So that's how this thing works. And if you guys observed, why it took a big lag right there instead of just giving us 5 as processing. So that's why we pass our value right there, which is 3. So it's gonna allow 3 accesses, and then it have to give us the output. So that's what this thing is, and you can observe that thing at the first. So if you want, I'm gonna probably run this again. So 2 is processing, 1, 3 is processing, the second one, 4 is processing, third one, and it's gonna take a big lag because it has the 3 accesses. 2 is added, now 5 is processing because it got a space, 3 is added, and now it got a space, so 6 is processing, 4 is added, and now it have to take a big lag again so that it can give more works. And that's how this thing works. And basically in our code we are basically processing and doing and stuff. So this is very important in Python, synchronizing threads. And so we understand what are the semaphores and everything. So these both are the main topics you just have to understand for this video. So see you in the next video. So that's it for today's video. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.